Earth received the signals on a quiet Tuesday morning. Radio telescopes across the planet simultaneously detected the structured patterns that could only be artificial. After decades of searching the stars, humanity finally had proof they weren't alone. 3 months later, Captain Jack Miller stood on the bridge of the experimental ship Stargazer, watching as his crew made final preparations. The vessel represented humanity's first real attempt at faster-than-light travel, built in desperate haste after the alien message provided coordinates for a meeting. "Status report," Jack said, his voice calm despite the weight of responsibility on his shoulders. Lieutenant Olivia Grant looked up from her console, her dark hair pulled back in a practical bun. As the mission's xenolinguist, she had spent weeks analyzing the alien communication patterns. "Translation systems are online, Captain. Based on the signal data, we should be able to establish basic communication." Sam Winters, the ship's lead physicist, floated into the bridge in the minimal gravity. His perpetually rumpled appearance contrasted with the pristine uniforms of the military personnel. "The dimensional slingshot is ready for its first real test," Sam said, his eyes bright with excitement. "Though I still think the name sounds like something from a children's cartoon." Jack smiled slightly. "The naming committee spent 3 weeks on that, Sam. Try to show some respect." The truth was, nobody quite understood how the drive worked. Based partly on the fragments of theory gleaned from the alien signals and partly on Sam's seemingly impossible mathematical models, the slingshot was humanity's best guess at FTL travel. "NASA control to Stargazer," came the voice over the comms. "Alien vessels have entered the solar system. 5 ships approaching Jupiter's orbit. They'll reach the rendezvous point in approximately 6 hours." Jack exchanged glances with his crew. This was it, humanity's first face-to-face meeting with extraterrestrial intelligence. "Acknowledge NASA control. We're on schedule for departure in 30 minutes. The next hours passed in a blur of final checks and nervous anticipation. The diplomatic team, consisting of representatives from Earth's major nations, reviewed their protocols one last time. Despite extensive preparation, no one truly knew what to expect. When the Stargazer finally departed Earth orbit, the mood was tense but hopeful. They wouldn't engage the experimental FTL drive yet. That was reserved for the journey to the Galactic Council headquarters, assuming the invitation came. For now, they cruised on conventional engines toward the meeting point near Europa. The alien ships came into visual range 3 hours later. Unlike the bulky, practical design of the Stargazer, these vessels appeared almost organic, sleek shapes with surfaces that seemed to shimmer between states of matter. "They're beautiful," whispered Olivia, watching the main screen with wide eyes. "And fast," added Sam. Their approach barely disturbed the space-time around them. "Whatever drive they're using, it's centuries beyond our understanding." Jack straightened his uniform. "Open a channel using the translation protocols." A moment later, the main screen flickered and revealed their first view of alien life. The being had a vaguely humanoid shape, but with iridescent skin and large, multifaceted eyes. When it spoke, the translation came through with surprising clarity. "Greetings, humans of Earth. I am Ambassador Trellin of the Xalari, representing the Galactic Council. We welcome your emergence into the wider community of spacefaring civilizations." Jack stepped forward. "On behalf of Earth, we thank you for your welcome. I am Captain Jack Miller of the United Earth vessel Stargazer." The alien made a gesture that might have been a bow. "We have observed your rapid technological advancement with interest. Your species has achieved in centuries what takes most a millennium." Behind Trellin, another alien appeared, this one with tentacle-like appendages and a body that seemed composed of shifting geometric patterns. "I am Science Director Voss of the Medusa Collective," it said. "We are particularly interested in your approach to faster-than-light theory." Sam stepped forward beside Jack, unable to contain himself. "We've only just developed a working prototype. We're eager to learn from your experience." The aliens exchanged what seemed like meaningful glances. "Yes," said Trellin. "About your prototype. We are very interested to discuss that further. The Stargazer's conference room buzzed with tension as Captain Jack Miller sat across from the alien representatives. Ambassador Trellan's iridescent skin caught the light with each movement, while Science Director Voss hovered nearby, their geometric body constantly shifting like a living puzzle. The Galactic Council extends an official invitation to Earth, Trellan announced. We invite your vessel to travel to the hub, where representatives of over 300 spacefaring civilizations gather. Jack tried to maintain his diplomatic composure despite his excitement. Humanity had dreamed of this moment for generations. We accept your invitation with gratitude, he replied. How far is this hub? Approximately 70 light-years from your solar system, Voss answered. With our guidance, your civilization can develop proper FTL methods within a decade. Sam Winters perked up at this. Actually, we already have a working FTL prototype installed on this very ship. The aliens went still. Trellan's multifaceted eyes blinked rapidly. Impossible, Voss said finally. Our surveys indicated your species was at least 15 years from achieving viable faster-than-light travel. Sam grinned. We worked out the math last year. The dimensional slingshot drive is ready for its first major test. Dimensional. Slingshot. Trellan echoed, the translation device struggling with the concept. Would you like to see the schematics? Sam offered, already pulling up the designs on his tablet. The aliens leaned forward, their body language showing immediate concern as they viewed the complex diagrams. This cannot be correct, Voss said, tentacles twitching. Your mathematical models suggest you intend to create a controlled microsingularity and fold through it. That's simplifying it a bit, Sam replied. But essentially, yes. We create a temporary tear in space-time and slingshot through it. Olivia Grant noticed the aliens exchange what appeared to be alarmed glances. Is there a problem with our approach? She asked. Trellan composed himself. There are many established methods of FTL travel. We would be happy to share safer alternatives. Safer? Jack raised an eyebrow. Our tests indicate the slingshot is stable. Perhaps it would be best if you traveled aboard our vessel, Trellan suggested. As our guests, your ship could follow later, after proper modifications. Jack shook his head. Thank you for the offer, but diplomatic protocol suggests we arrive independently. We're confident in our technology. In the corridor outside after the meeting, engineer Lisa Diaz approached Jack with concern on her face. They seemed really freaked out by our drive, Captain. I noticed, Jack replied. What do you make of it? Lisa shrugged. From what I could gather, their FTL methods involve gentle manipulation of space-time. They fold space like carefully ironing a shirt. We're basically ripping a hole and jumping through. Sam joined them, still reviewing the aliens' reactions. Their technology is elegant, I'll give them that. But our method is faster. According to my calculations, we'll beat them to the hub by several hours. Jack considered this information carefully. Earth's first impression on the galactic stage would be crucial. Arriving in a ship powered by technology that apparently horrified their new allies wasn't ideal. On the other hand, demonstrating human ingenuity might earn them respect. Prepare the slingshot for transit, he decided. We'll proceed as planned. Later that evening, Jack found Trellan observing Earth through a viewport. The alien seemed deep in thought. Your world is beautiful, Trellan said without turning. Young civilizations always have such interesting approaches to problems. Is that a diplomatic way of saying you think we're reckless? Jack asked. Trellan's skin rippled in what might have been amusement, not reckless. Different. The Council has not seen a species use your particular method in several millennia. But others have used it before. Yes, Trellan replied carefully, though they are no longer with us. Before Jack could ask what happened to them, Trellan excused himself, leaving the captain with an uneasy feeling about their upcoming journey. The launch countdown echoed through the Stargazer as the crew secured stations for their historic journey. Captain Jack Miller watched his team with quiet pride. They represented the best of humanity, brilliant, determined, and just crazy enough to tear a hole in space-time. FTL preparations at 80%. Engineer Lisa Dias reported from her console. Her fingers danced across screens as she monitored the dimensional slingshot's power buildup. Core temperature optimal. Containment fields holding steady. Through the viewport, Jack could see the alien escort vessel hovering nearby. Its sleek, organic shape seemed to shimmer against the backdrop of stars, barely disturbing the space around it. "Captain," Olivia called from her station. "I'm having trouble with the translator when discussing our drive systems with the council representatives." Jack moved to her station. "What kind of trouble?" "When I explain our propulsion method, their language doesn't seem to have equivalent concepts." She frowned at her screen. "It's like trying to explain color to someone who can only see in black and white." Sam floated over, inserting himself into the conversation. "It's not just a translation issue. I showed Voss our equations, and they couldn't process them. Not because they couldn't understand the math, but because they considered the approach fundamentally impossible." A communication alert chimed, and Trellan's face appeared on the main screen. "Captain Miller, our sensors detect unusual energy fluctuations in your vessel. Are you experiencing difficulties?" "No difficulties," Jack replied smoothly. "Just standard pre-launch procedures for our drive system." The alien's multifaceted eyes blinked rapidly. "Our science team has reviewed your schematics again. We strongly advise against activating your slingshot." Lisa looked up from her console. "They're scanning us, Captain. Pretty intensive energy suites." Jack maintained his diplomatic smile. "Ambassador, I appreciate your concern, but we've tested this system extensively. It's perfectly safe." "Safe is not the term I would use," came Voss's voice as they moved into view beside Trellan. "You are planning to create a localized rupture in the fabric of reality. There are protocols about such technologies. Protocols we couldn't possibly have known about," Jack pointed out. "We're new to the galactic community, remember?" Trellan's skin rippled with what the humans had come to recognize as anxiety. "Captain, please, as a gesture of goodwill, travel aboard our vessel. We can transport you and your key personnel to the hub while your engineers receive proper FTL instruction." Lisa snorted quietly. "They think we're children playing with matches." "Final preparations complete, Captain," Sam announced. "Slingshot ready for activation on your command." Jack considered the aliens' concerned faces on the screen. Their fear seemed genuine, which gave him pause. But Earth needed to establish itself as an equal from the beginning. "Ambassador, we appreciate your offer, but we'll proceed as planned. The Stargazer will make the journey under her own power." "Very well," Trellan replied after a long pause. "We will prepare for your arrival. Please maintain communication during your transit." The screen went dark, and Jack turned to his crew. "Anyone having second thoughts?" Sam grinned. "About making the most dramatic entrance in human history? Not a chance." Olivia seemed less convinced. "What if they're right to be worried?" "Then we'll have learned something important," Jack said. "Either way, humanity steps onto the galactic stage today." Lisa's console began pulsing with energy readings. "Dimensional slingshot is hot, Captain. Microsingularity forming stable." Through the viewport, they could see the alien escort vessel backing away to a safe distance. Its sensors were clearly trained on the Stargazer, monitoring every fluctuation. "All personnel, secure for FTL transit," Jack ordered, settling into his command chair. "Initiate the slingshot." Lisa took a deep breath and activated the sequence. Dimensional tear initiating in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Around them, reality began to shimmer and distort as the laws of physics temporarily surrendered to human ingenuity. The last thing they saw before everything warped was the alien vessel's lights flashing in what could only be described as panic. The bridge of the alien escort vessel erupted in chaos as the Stargazer activated its drive. Ambassador Trellan and Science Director Voss watched in horror as the human ship began to glow with impossible energies. "They're actually doing it," Voss said, their geometric body contracting in distress. They're creating a dimensional tear. On their sensors, the fabric of space-time around the stargazer warped and twisted. The human vessel seemed to stretch like a reflection in a funhouse mirror, elongating impossibly before collapsing toward a single point. Emergency protocols. Trellin shouted. Maximum distance now. Their ship accelerated away as instruments recorded the unprecedented event. Where the stargazer had been, a tiny flicker of absolute darkness formed. A controlled singularity that defied every safety regulation in Council space. They've destroyed themselves, one of the Xalari crew whispered. Meanwhile, aboard the stargazer, reality had ceased to make sense. The ship vibrated at frequencies that should have torn it apart. Outside the reinforced viewports, the familiar universe disappeared, replaced by a swirling void that wasn't quite nothingness. Singularity stable. Lisa shouted over the noise. Dimensional tunnel forming. The crew felt their bodies stretch and compress simultaneously. Their brains struggled to process sensations never meant for human perception. Jack gripped his chair as colors he couldn't name flooded his vision. Transit in progress, Sam announced, his voice sounding both distant and too close. This is incredible. Through the void, something moved. Shapes that had no right to exist drifted past the ship, curious about the intruders in their domain. Olivia stared wide-eyed as patterns formed in the chaos, almost like language. I think something's watching us, she whispered. The ship lurched forward suddenly, as though grabbed by an invisible hand and flung through the tier. The crew felt the universe snap back into place around them with a force that knocked the air from their lungs. Transit complete. Lisa called out, checking her systems. We're here. Jack blinked, his vision returning to normal. Beyond the viewport lay a spectacular sight. A massive space station orbited by hundreds of ships of all shapes and sizes. Lights sparkled across its surface like a city in space. The galactic hub, Sam breathed. We made it. Lisa ran a quick diagnostic. Journey time, 7 minutes, 12 seconds. According to our calculations, the alien escort won't arrive for another 3 hours. Jack allowed himself a small smile. Status report. Any damage? Minor structural stress. Nothing critical, Lisa replied. The slingshot performed exactly as designed. Olivia looked troubled. Captain, during transit, I saw something. Entities in the void. I think our method might punch through a dimension that's inhabited. Before Jack could respond, a communication alert chimed. The screen displayed an alien face they hadn't seen before, with 4 eyes and a ridge of spines where hair would be on a human. Unidentified vessel, the alien said, clearly alarmed. You appeared without notice in restricted space. Identify yourself immediately. This is Captain Jack Miller of the Earth vessel Stargazer, Jack replied calmly. We were invited by Ambassador Trellin as representatives of humanity to the Galactic Council. The alien's eyes blinked in confusion. The Earth delegation is not expected for several hours. How did you arrive before your escort? We used our own FTL method, Sam explained, unable to contain his excitement. The dimensional slingshot drive. First major test, complete success. The alien's expression was impossible to read, but the long silence spoke volumes. Please maintain your position, they finally said. Do not activate any propulsion systems. Security vessels are being dispatched to your location. As the communication ended, Jack looked around at his crew. The triumph on their faces slowly gave way to uncertainty. Well, he said dryly, I think we've made quite the first impression. Outside, several smaller vessels rapidly approached, surrounding the Stargazer in a defensive formation. Humanity had arrived on the galactic stage, not with a whimper, but with a tear in the universe itself. The Galactic Council chamber hummed with agitated voices. Representatives from dozens of species filled the vast, circular room, their attention fixed on the small delegation of humans standing in the center. Captain Jack Miller maintained his composure despite feeling like a specimen under a microscope. 3 hours had passed since the stargazers' dramatic arrival. They'd been escorted to temporary quarters, scanned repeatedly for dimensional contamination, and finally brought before the council when the Xalari escort vessel arrived. Ambassador Trellin stood at a podium, addressing the assembly. Honored representatives, I present the delegation from Earth, the newest species seeking recognition from the Galactic Council. A tall, insect-like alien with translucent wings rose from one of the higher tiers. Before any recognition is considered, we must address the method of their arrival. Our sensors detected a Class 7 space-time disturbance. Murmurs rippled through the chamber. Jack glanced at Sam, who whispered, "What's a Class 7? "Something bad, I'm guessing," Lisa muttered back. The council leader, a being composed of what looked like flowing liquid metal, raised a rippling appendage for silence. The human delegation will explain their propulsion method. Our records indicate their civilization should not possess FTL capability. Jack stepped forward. Thank you for this opportunity. Earth developed the dimensional slingshot drive independently. We had no knowledge of galactic regulations regarding FTL travel. Please explain this. Slingshot, the council leader requested. Sam moved forward eagerly, his scientific passion overriding any diplomatic caution. It's actually quite elegant. We generate a controlled microsingularity that creates a temporary tear in space-time. The ship then, a tear, interrupted a gas-filled containment suit housing a methane-breathing alien. You deliberately damaged the fabric of reality. It's more like folding it really quickly, Sam explained. The tear is momentary and seals itself immediately after transit. The chamber erupted in overlapping voices. Jack caught fragments. Reckless, primitive, dimensional predators, and complete ban. Science Director Voss floated to the center of the chamber. Our preliminary analysis confirms the human method creates a passage through subdimension K379, a region all council species agreed to avoid 5 millennia ago. Olivia stepped forward. During our transit, I observed entities in this subdimension. They seemed aware of our passage. This revelation caused even greater commotion. A plant-like being with flowers blooming across its bark addressed the humans directly. You encountered the Void Dwellers and survived. Impossible. The last species to attempt your method was driven to madness by the contact. Jack frowned. We experienced unusual sensations, but no lasting effects. Voss's geometric body shifted rapidly in apparent excitement. This requires further study. Their neural structures must possess unique properties. A small rodent-like alien scurried down to the chamber floor. The method must be prohibited. The dimensional accords clearly state. Humans are not signatories to these accords, Trellin pointed out. They cannot be held to standards they were unaware of. The debate continued for hours. Technical experts were called in to review the slingshot's design. Medical specialists examined the humans for psychological damage. Jack and his crew answered countless questions about their experience in the void. Finally, the council leader called for order. This situation is unprecedented. The human method is dangerous by our standards, yet effective. Their physiology appears resistant to the subdimensional effects that devastated the Arkelian civilization. Jack exchanged glances with his crew. This was the first mention of another species trying their approach. What happened to the Arkelians? He asked. A somber silence fell over the chamber. The council leader's liquid form rippled slowly. They continued to use their dimensional drive despite warnings. The entities you glimpsed eventually followed them back. The Arkelian homeworld now exists in a state between dimensions, unreachable by conventional means. Lisa swallowed hard. That's concerning. Indeed, the council leader agreed, which is why the council will need to determine if humans can be trusted with such technology, or if restrictions must be imposed for the safety of all. The weight of those words hung in the air as the first day of Earth's introduction to galactic politics came to an unsettling close. The scientific wing of the galactic hub buzzed with activity. After 3 days of deliberation, The Council had permitted a controlled demonstration of the dimensional slingshot under strict safety protocols. Earth's delegation found themselves at the center of a scientific controversy that divided the galactic community. In a vast laboratory, Lisa Diaz carefully assembled a scaled-down version of the drive, while researchers from a dozen species observed. Some kept their distance, while others crowded as close as security would allow. The containment field modulates at this frequency, she explained, adjusting a component. This prevents the tear from expanding beyond parameters. A Medusan researcher floated nearby, their geometric form constantly shifting as they processed the information. But what prevents the void entities from following the dimensional wake back to normal space? This, Lisa said, pointing to a small device attached to the drive. We call it the dimensional zipper. It seals the passage behind us. Sam Winters worked at another station, running simulations with a group of skeptical council physicists. Their mathematical models kept predicting catastrophic failure, while Earth's equations showed stable transit. Your calculations violate three fundamental laws of transdimensional mechanics, argued a crystalline being that communicated through light pulses. Maybe your laws need updating, Sam suggested, not unkindly. Our drive works. That's empirical evidence your theories don't account for. Across the hub, Jack Miller attended a different kind of meeting. The Council's Security Committee had convened to discuss whether human FTL technology represented a threat. Captain Miller began, a reptilian delegate with silver scales. Your species developed this dangerous method in isolation. This suggests a concerning tendency toward risk-taking that may endanger others. Or it shows our ability to innovate under resource constraints, Jack countered. Earth doesn't have access to the exotic materials your civilizations use for conventional FTL. We worked with what we had. A holographic being composed of swirling data patterns spoke next. Records show 17 species attempted similar methods in our history. 16 suffered catastrophic consequences. And the 17th? Jack asked. The Vrek, answered the reptilian. They adapted their neural structure to resist void influence, much as your species appears naturally resistant. However, they eventually abandoned the method as too unpredictable. Meanwhile, Dr. Olivia Grant found herself in high demand among xenobiologists. In a medical laboratory, she sat patiently as researchers scanned her brain. Fascinating, murmured a six-armed physician. Human neural pathways contain natural barriers against extradimensional influence. The very structure of your thought patterns resists alteration. Is that unusual? Olivia asked. Extremely. Most species' minds are vulnerable to the void entities. They can implant thoughts, memories, even completely rewrite consciousness through prolonged exposure. Another scientist, whose body resembled a cloud of glowing particles, added, "We believe it may relate to your species' unusual dream state. Your brains regularly create and navigate internal dimensions while sleeping." Olivia considered this. So our dreams protect us from these void entities. In simplified terms, yes, your minds create dimensional boundaries naturally. This may explain why humans developed such a method. Your intuitive understanding of dimensional mechanics is unique. By evening, the Stargazer crew regrouped in their quarters to share findings. The mood was mixed. The security committee is split, Jack reported. Half want to classify our drive as a prohibited weapon. The others see potential benefits, especially for reaching regions conventional FTL can't access. Lisa looked troubled. The engineering consortium is similarly divided. Some think we're geniuses, others think we're maniacs. The medical findings are most interesting, Olivia added. Apparently, our brains are uniquely structured to resist dimensional influence. The researchers are fascinated. Sam flopped into a chair. So where does this leave us? Will they let us keep using the slingshot? That's the big question, Jack said. Tomorrow, the full council votes on whether to classify our method under the dimensional accords or grant Earth an exemption. And if they vote against us? Lisa asked. Jack's expression grew serious. Then we have a difficult choice to make. Do we surrender our technology to join the galactic community, or maintain our independence at the cost of isolation? The question hung in the air as the stars of an alien sky glittered beyond their viewport. The Grand Chamber of the Galactic Council fell silent as the final vote was tallied. After a week of heated debates, scientific studies, and diplomatic negotiations, the moment of decision had arrived. Captain Jack Miller and his crew stood in the center of the chamber, surrounded by representatives of hundreds of spacefaring civilizations. The council leader's liquid metal form shifted to face the human delegation. By a margin of 7 votes, the council has reached its decision regarding Earth's dimensional slingshot technology. Jack felt his heart race. The past week had been the most intense of his life. Demonstrating their drive, explaining human neural structure, and endless rounds of negotiations. Whatever happened next would shape humanity's place among the stars for generations. Earth will be granted a conditional exemption from the Dimensional Accords, the council leader announced. A mix of approving murmurs and disappointed clicks echoed through the chamber. Jack exchanged relieved glances with his crew. The conditions are as follows, continued the council leader. First, all human vessels using the slingshot must carry enhanced dimensional sealing technology to prevent void entity incursion. Science Director Voss floated forward. We will provide specifications for these enhancements immediately. Second, human ships will avoid creating dimensional tiers near populated systems or sensitive spatial regions. Maps of these restricted zones will be provided. Ambassador Trellin stepped to Jack's side. Our navigators will help establish safe transit corridors. Finally, the council leader's voice grew serious. Humans will participate in a knowledge exchange program. Your unique neural resistance to void influence is valuable to our understanding of dimensional mechanics. In return, you will receive access to our technological database. Sam could barely contain his excitement. Access to the Galactic Knowledge Network. That's more than we hoped for. The council leader's form rippled. This decision was not unanimous. Many still consider your method dangerous. You must prove these concerns unfounded through responsible use. After the formal session concluded, a celebration began in the diplomatic wing of the hub. Species that had been cautious of humans now approached with curiosity. A group of young scientists surrounded Lisa, eager to discuss modifications to the slingshot. Your approach is unorthodox but brilliant, admitted a researcher whose translucent body pulsed with bioluminescence. With our containment technology and your dimensional mathematics, we could develop hybrid systems previously thought impossible. Across the room, Olivia found herself in conversation with the plant-like being who had been skeptical during earlier debates. My species communicates through chemical signals, they explained. The void entities disrupted our thought patterns completely when we attempted dimensional travel centuries ago. Your brain structure fascinates us. We're still learning about it ourselves, Olivia replied. Perhaps our different approaches to consciousness can teach us all something new. Jack stood with Trellin and Voss, watching the mingling of humans and aliens with satisfaction. I must confess, Trellin said, when your ship disappeared into that tier, I believed we would never see you again. Jack smiled. Humans have a saying, necessity is the mother of invention. Without the resources other species had, we found our own path. A terrifying path, Voss commented, but effective. The council scientists estimate your transit time is 60% faster than our best drives. Speaking of transit, Trellin said more quietly, our archaeologists recently uncovered records suggesting the Arkelians might not have been completely destroyed. Jack's attention sharpened. What do you mean? There are signals, occasionally detected from the void between dimensions. They match old Arkelian communication patterns. With your technology and neural resistance, a rescue mission might be possible someday. Before Jack could ask more questions, Sam rushed over, face flushed with excitement. Captain, you won't believe what I just learned. There's an ancient space station at the edge of the galaxy that no one can reach with conventional FTL. The Council wants to send a joint expedition with us as the transport. Jack laughed at his physicist's enthusiasm. One step at a time, Sam. We've only just arrived on the galactic stage. As the celebration continued, Jack gazed out a massive viewport at the stars beyond. Humanity had entered the cosmic community in the most human way possible, by doing something that terrified everyone else and somehow making it work. Their insane FTL method had shocked the Galactic Council, but it had also earned them a unique place among the stars.